Let's talk morning anxiety. It is something that plagued me for definitely more than a decade, and it is something that I get asked about a lot. And actually, sometimes I can still have a little bit of anxiety in the mornings, but now I can have the anxiety, the morning anxiety, without it having me. And that's what we're going to get into. So, for a huge chunk of my life, I would wake up with this sense of doom. And I bet a lot of you are going to know that sense of doom that I'm talking about. The first time I shared it was with one of my best friends in grad school, and they like totally got that sense of doom. And as my in my role as a school psychologist, a lot of students would say, "Oh my gosh, that doom feeling, I know it too." And now as my job as a coach, I think for me a lot of that doom feeling was I would go to bed often feeling like a failure. I would review the day and I would usually feel like I was too anxious. Maybe I had a panic attack. I was irritable. It was always like, you could have done better. It was just like, I got to be better. Just this internal, like, hamster wheel of rumination of like, and I was always coming up short. And I know it was good intention because I would also feel like, shit, you failed as a wife. It was almost just like I couldn't win. I had a lot of rules that I felt like I needed to go to sleep early in a dark room away from electronics. I'd read so much about the importance of sleep, and I thought I was somehow different. And from other people, like I really needed sleep because, or else I could feel off and I could have a panic attack. But I felt like this ticking time of like, I have to go to bed in my dark room and meditate and slow down. And then I would feel like, well, you're missing out on life. You weren't even present at dinner with your kids, or you didn't even watch a show with your husband. Like, you failed. Um, so I think that contributed because I'd wake up thinking, today is a new day. And I would scan my body, kind of like I was trying so hard. I was like doing all the right things, meditating, journaling, manifestation, loads of therapy, workshops, supplements, super clean diet. Like I was trying so much. And I think, okay, I'd wake up, how am I feeling? Is my breathing thing here? My God, what if I have a panic attack? Like, just kind of this internal scanning. Um, and I would then set aside time, go to this little area that I'd have, and I would do my routine, make sure to eat, meditate, manifest, prayer. Sometimes it would be thought work, just a lot, which would sometimes provide a little bit of relief in the short term. But honestly, for me, it just added on more thinking, and that was not what I needed at all. I actually took some notes. I'm going to go and make sure, because for me, this morning seemed to determine my day, especially because I had a huge part of my struggle was driving anxiety. So I felt like I have to set myself up for success. And I was so on guard for panic or this. I experienced derealization, would be this like feeling of insanity. So where I was talking about all the things I did, which looked really great. Like, look at me doing all this stuff. And I wasn't doing it just for look at me. I really thought like it kind of fed into this misunderstanding that I was broken. There was something wrong with me. I needed fixing. It was definitely not okay to feel how I was feeling. And it was me that needed to be fixed. If only I could do better, be better. It was just this. So the morning was like a lot of pressure. And everything changed for me when I realized that I was just innocently frightening myself with my thinking. And then frightening myself thinking, how can I get rid of these thoughts and feelings? Like, I thought it was only okay if I didn't have any anxiety in the morning. And if I did, it was like off to the races. Shit. But it really changed when I realized, one, that I was just innocently overcomplicating it. When I realized that thoughts flow all on their own, that human beings, me included, are designed to come back into balance. I stopped trying so hard. I stopped being like, I don't have to get my nighttime routine perfect. It's fine if I feel off in the morning. I don't even have to have a morning routine. I don't have to do all that stuff. And actually, what if doing all that stuff was contributing to this busyness, that feeling of shaken up? When we think of a snow globe, when you take it, I should have one here, and you shake it up, it's like all the glitter and the snow. And then all the things that I was doing, the more thinking, how am I feeling? Scanning, oh my God, I can't believe I'm anxious. It was like shaking it up more. When if I just let myself have an anxious morning, the shaken snow globe would just settle. When I see, wow, thoughts settle all on their own. And actually, so for me now, sometimes the morning, especially if it's like a school morning and I'm doing the school run, sometimes the morning time is the time when I feel the most anxious. And or actually the morning driving in the car. Because sometimes I feel like there's a lot of noise in my head and I'm like, I'm confined to the car. But when I can just accept that, it brings on this sense of peace. And nothing quiets a mind faster than doing nothing to quiet a mind. Morning anxiety doesn't mean shit. Morning anxiety doesn't mean an anxious day. You can have some morning anxiety without it having you. Anxiety is just a friendly signal, a love letter, an invitation, coming back to the present moment. And actually, I think it's interesting because it's telling. I've had this question a lot, but there was one question in particular. And the woman had asked me, what do you do about when anxiety is higher in the morning and my mood is lower in the morning? She said, and I know it always passes. So what if we just knew? What if it was like, all right, sometimes I'm anxious in the morning and I know it passes. It's amazing how fast, when you accept that non-peace, without doing anything, you're right back to peace. I did a little video on this, and a woman sent me a wonderful message on Instagram saying, my gosh, something clicked for me. Because she too would feel anxious in the morning, but then all this thinking. And then she realized something like, all right, who cares? What if I'm anxious in the morning? Full stop. And then it's like, it's so crazy how then you don't add on to it. And next thing you know, you're back to the present moment, back to flow, back to feeling good. And we can realize, what if there's nothing to fix? And actually, when you don't add on to it, then it can allow your healing to go on, if there is a little healing in your nervous system, and allow you to come back into balance. It was I had this, as I just shared, sometimes I'd have some anxious feeling driving my daughter to school. And I would have this thought, you're a fraud. You are really not very far along in your journey because you feel anxious sometimes driving your daughter to school. There's more work to be done. You should have more ease. And so one morning I kind of got caught up in that. And I was like, I feel weird. And I was going to come in and tell my partner, I feel very anxious today. And then it was like, honestly, wisdom tapped me on the shoulder and it was like, but do you? Like, why would you focus on that? All right, for some, I don't know, fourth of the time driving, okay, you felt anxious, but you also were laughing. You also had listening to a podcast, and also that was just in the drive. It was so interesting. It was like, because I know we can all get used to anxiety being front page news, morning anxiety. Oh my gosh. But it's like, wait, what about all the other stuff that's going on? And it was interesting when I'm like, why would I share that? Also, there's nothing wrong if I did decide to share it, but that was so kind of old me. Oh my God, I'm really anxious, meaning like, be gentle with me. And I need to be on guard. Like, now I'm going to have an anxious day. And what stopped me was like, just because I felt anxious right now doesn't mean I'm going to have an anxious day. It doesn't mean anything. It's just energy coming and flowing, and thoughts and energy flows all on its own. So I would love to know your thoughts on morning anxiety, and also email me back. Let me know what questions you want me to answer. I get a lot of questions on social media. And it's hard for me to reply, so I wanted to do this weekly Q&A where the common questions that I get asked, I'll do a longer video, but I would love for you to write me back. Let me know what your burning questions are, and I will answer them each week. And I love you all.